Okay, I've already done the prep work to make this go quicker because you know this. We've got the circle, that's the top, right side here, right side on the lining, sewn together around the outside edge, register marks, little notches at the middle, center front, center back. Here's the two long pieces. They are also sewn together into a tube, both of them separately. The register marks are center front. This is the center back. This is the center front. Notches on both sides. And then I also put notches 10 inches, which is between here and here, and the center front is not gathered. Okay, first thing we do is take this,
The circle.
We're going to sew this one on first. So right sides together, match up the seam with one of the notches, and that will be the center back. We're going to sew it with less seam allowance than you're going to use in the final thing, because we're going to do this again on the circle. So if you go about where you sewed that together, and theoretically the notches will come out even in the center front, which is here. Sometimes you have to pull it a little, the top. Just ease it in. That's mostly just basting. Now what we've got is a bucket shape. That's the top of the hat. That's the good part. And here, the lining is here, but we've got that nasty seam allowance. So the way we're going to cover it is we're going to go from the other side and do the same thing with the lining. Right sides together, right side of this against the right side of this, and we're going to encase that seam allowance. So we've got this here and this here. This time we're going to take a little bit more seam allowance because we want to cover that line of stitching. Usually I take about ½ an inch or so, but doesn't really matter on this. And once again, you want to match up the register mark center front, just like you did. We're just doing the exact same thing we just did, only from the other side. And oh, I sewed the wrong one. Okay, this is the register mark. It should be up here. So when I'm done, I'll recut that register mark. And hopefully I caught that seam line inside of it. Now, when we take the two flappy things and put them together like this, we have no seam allowance showing there and no seam allowance showing there. So the way it works is we're encasing the seam allowance on the circle in between these two things. I do it all at once. I don't do it in two goes like I just did. Now we're going to do this. Put these two raw edges together, and we're going to turn them into one piece of fabric just to make it easier. Baste them together. And then I already forgot to put that register mark back in. That's okay. It's 10 inches ungathered across the center front. Now we have one complete piece. This is the bucket part of the hat. And what I'm going to do is put those register marks back. Well, see, I did do it right on here. So between here, going around, back around to here, I'm going to gather it up just a little. It doesn't necessarily have to fit the band, but this is just to make things a little easier. And it's starting to look like a beret that Stevie Nicks would be proud to wear.
Eight minutes.
Okay, we're running out of time. So I'm back around. Now what we're going to do is take the band, go back, find the center back, which is where the seam is, match these seams up, only this time we're going to put the right side of the band against the lining, which is backwards from every way they tell you to do this. And you'll see why we're doing it this way. And hopefully the register marks in the center front will match up. Okay, I should have put more gather into it as I was sewing it, but we're running out of time.
9:15.
Okay, we're going to have to cut this up into two parts. So while I rip this out, we're going to stop this video and then we will start again for the band.